The UK has experienced rainfall every day this year. It's 2026, today is the 9th of February. And it's unprecedented, I suppose, in some ways. Some areas have experienced rain every single day, and this is the result of it. The River Trent is in flood again, and it is one of the worst I've seen in many, many years, maybe since 25 years ago, since the Great Floods of 2000. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump off to Sawley. We're going to look at the flood lock and around the marina, try and get to Trent Lock, where I believe it is really, really bad there. And you can see how bad it is here at Beeston Lock, Beeston Weir. So join me and we'll experience this together. I shall see you right over there at Sawley Lock and Marina. So I've got myself down to Sawley Floodlock, and that is looking quite horrific, really. There's loads of water absolutely spewing straight over the top lock gates, and it's like Niagara Falls, or miniature version anyway, going over the lower lock gates. All this land around me in front is about 80% submerged. I'm going to show you the other bridge off the road in a little while, just beside as we get towards Sawley Square. But as you can see, there's no way I'm going to be able to proceed towards the weir near the M1. I mean, I could get up this grass just a little way, but just up there, around about where my hand is, it looks like the ground has actually sunk away at some point. Not recently, but it's like a drop of water just flowing down. I'll get as close as I can though. This is as far as I can get, and you can see that little void in the ground, look, where it's given way at some point. Water dropping over the edge and into the flooded confines of the floodplains surrounding. There's a fantastic swell of water coming around the gate right the way along. The towpath on the opposite side is also inaccessible. I expect it's a right mess down there where you go below the M1 and on towards Derwent, the River Derwent. You wouldn't want to get caught up in this at all, would you? You can just make out the ladder submerged for the lock. Let's go over to the lower gates beside Bridge 4A. This area completely submerged, and a rapid flow of water going up quite a rate, and it's very, very noisy, isn't it? I've been here a few times over the years. I've never seen it look like this, but I am fully aware this isn't as bad as it can get. I know a lot of local people have seen it worse than this, but for me personally, and probably for a lot of you watching, this is no doubt quite shocking and surprising too. So I'll pop you over to the other side of the lock in a moment, and we'll take a look at it from that angle, and then we'll pop onto Tamworth Road and go take a look at the fast flow of water that is passing where the River Trent goes below the road. Quite astonishing, isn't it, from this side as well. Looking down there, the water absolutely bellowing down into the water below the lock. Let's get ourselves and have a look at it from above off Tamworth Road. Sawley flood lock off to my left, but already you can see the water is moving at quite a rate. Look at the speed that is passing below. You would not wish to get caught up in that, because I don't think you'd be getting out, or you'd find it very, very difficult. Let's pop over to the other side. That is dangerous, isn't it? That is an absolute storm going off down there. Right the way along, look at that. Swirling, twirling, sucking and pushing. From a side-on view, you can see how atrocious that is. It's an unusual thing to see. I'm assuming it's going to be safe where it is. Duple coachwork Bedford, isn't it? I mean, well, I suppose, yeah, that gives it away, doesn't it? Wonder how long that's been there. So after finding this beauty just here, I'm now going to try and head along the footpath that goes past Sawley Marine. I don't know how far I'll get. I don't know if I'll get as far as Trent Lock, but we're going to give it a go and try our best. Sawley Flood Lock then, where we began, just down there, and the water level, as you'd expect, is absolutely fine, but off to the left, no, it's not. So what I intend to do is follow this down to the very next lock and see if we can actually get beyond that. I don't think we will, because the path does drop down, although there is a footbridge that goes where the weir is, so I'm hopeful of at least getting there. You can see here where the water's broke through over the access road and footpath, and it's dropping down into the cut. That looks like that's waiting to come out. That's been dislodged, hasn't it? As we approach the lock, you can see more areas where the water is encroaching onto the pavement. Oh dear, that's quite unfortunate, isn't it? Very sad. So this is looking rather submerged through there, isn't it? Let's get around to where the lock is, and of course we will be able to cross over the footbridge because it is beside the railway line. Look how high those floating pontoons are. They're usually right down there, metres down there. Now what is also interesting, look, is the water flowing towards us on this side of the pontoon. You see it? Now it's going away from us. But of course the water of the Trent flows in this direction, the complete opposite. So it's nasty, it's just swirling round and round in a circle. Plenty of debris built up in the locks as well, because it can't go anywhere, can it? Because the water should be a few metres down just there. The Sawley Lock sign over there, that's barely visible. That's usually well above water level, and there's also a submerged ladder handrail over there. That's the railway bridge off towards Castle Donington just there. The water, well, very, very high. I'm going to get myself up that footbridge and we'll get across the water and see what it's like on the other side. And as I've gone nearer the bridge, look, you see the water nearest to me is actually going back in that direction again. Look at that pontoon swinging side to side. That chain has just tensed up and gone with a right crack. I don't think the camera really picked it up. Look at that. The speed of that, that's ferocious. How that water is hitting the pillars, and over there, look, so fast. Let's have a look on the other side. You can see the water absolutely hitting that pontoon coming towards us. That looks nasty, doesn't it? By pointing the camera at the railings, you can really see how fast that water is hitting it. Look, let's have a walk below the railway line and we'll see how it fares on the other side. As you'd expect, that's coming out at quite a rate of knots, isn't it? Quite a nice shot, that is. Nice angle. It's really, really nice. Well, going forward towards Trent Lock, you can see that it is rather good underfoot. So at Trent Lock, and I would absolutely hate to be moored here right now. I've done it before many years ago. It was never anything like this. Just look how ferocious that water is coming around those boats and the floating pontoon. The Erewash Canal, Trent Lock, number 60. You'd think it looks pretty normal from that angle, wouldn't you? But if I dip you down, just there, look, you can see the water level. Well, it should absolutely not be the same level as the water in the lock on the drop below the bottom gate. Over on this side, you've got the junction of the Erewash Canal onto the River Trent. Ratcliffe-on-Soar power station, cooling towers. Splendid that they're still there for a few more years. But I know full well I'm not going to be able to get around there to get below the railway and onto the Cranfleet Cut. But this down here is the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, let's go down here a little bit. Let's go down these steps carefully. And we'll get as low down as we can. I won't go onto that one, that's looking a bit... Oh, actually, well, I'll hold on to the handrail. And we can see it, look. I mean, that is stepped down on both sides. There's 6 or 7 foot deep concrete steps down to the canal. So it's scary to think how deep that central piece is, where the canal is, going towards the bridge. It really is quite scary to think how bad and how deep that is right in the middle. Just look at it on the other side, the lock house tea rooms behind the bridge, and those concrete steps. As I go close to the edge of the water, you can see it's still grass. So the first concrete block is some distance further on. I imagine you're enjoying it though, aren't you? So looking back towards Sawley here, and the width of the water is at its greatest, isn't it? That is quite some distance, way beyond the hedgerows that you can see in front of you. The River Soar now coming into view, cooling towers, and then the weir of the Trent is just off to the left. So I'm stood atop the other bridge right by the junction to the River Trent. Let me turn you around and you can see how vast this water is. I mean, you'd think it was looking quite calm just here, wouldn't you? But there is a serious swell. It really is bad. The camera probably just does not do it justice at all. And we go along down here, you see we're not going to really get any further. When I came down and did this in 2020, I think it was Storm Dennis it was called, I could still walk around there and I could still get onto the Cranfleet Cut. So to see this like this is new to me. It's extraordinary. Past the blue canal and river trust sign on the left is the Cranfleet Cut. The Trent goes into the River Soar, as I mentioned earlier, round about where the cooling towers are, and that heads off towards Leicestershire on the right. But the drop down on the left is the weir, where it takes the journey of the River Trent. You know, being this close just makes you realise and appreciate everything that is done to prevent flooding from being worse, like the flood embankments and the prevention system, dams and sluices, because this is bad. But if this wasn't contained here in these floodplains, it would be affecting towns and cities further downstream. Just been talking to a really friendly local chap, lived here for 51 years, he said. It's not obviously the worst he's ever seen it. He's seen it about 1 or 2 foot higher than it is today. It has dropped around about that much because you can see where the waterline was as well a few hours ago. So back where we began, I am at Beeston Weir is just behind me. This is very, very bad here. The water is curling, turning, swirling and sucking. The undercurrent is absolutely appalling. I'd love you to subscribe and comment below any further suggestions going forward. But until then, I shall see you in the very next video. Thank you very much for watching. This is our history underfoot. And this time it's also underwater. See you again. Bye bye.